What if I told you that chasing streams could actually be sabotaging your Spotify growth, even without you realizing it? Most indie artists obsess over plays, big spikes, and playlist ads, but here's the shocking truth. Spotify doesn't reward streams, it rewards behavior. Think of it like a smart DJ watching the crowd. If people skip or leave early or never come back, it stops playing your song for everyone else. I'm Kevin Michael Ozias. I've released hundreds of tracks and made every mistake possible, and I've learned the hard way how Spotify really works. So whether you're a total beginner just dropping your first single or a seasoned producer with releases under your belt, these mechanics can decide if your music stalls or if it explodes. In 2026, with the algorithm prioritizing deep engagement over quick hits even more than before, ignoring these could cost you momentum. Today, I'm sharing 15 little-known truths, not theories or hacks, but real signals from listener actions. And for each, I'm going to explain why it matters and share a quick example and give you a simple plan to win. First up, let's talk about the hidden signals that control everything. Fact number 1, Spotify's algorithm runs on tiny micro signals and not big viral moments. Spotify is constantly watching for tiny behaviors that indicate real listener satisfaction. And these include things like a listener finishing a song or a listener saving the song, a listener's replaying it or adding it to a playlist, a listener searching for your name or clicking your profile, maybe starting a session with your track, or a listener sharing your track or following you after they hear it. None of these are viral things, they're kind of microscopic, but when they stack together, they tell Spotify that people genuinely like your music, so show it to more people. So, your plan of attack then, well, microsignals love repeat behavior. You could engineer this by making the first 10 seconds of your song irresistibly replayable, or use hooks that return quickly. Keeping the track tight is also smart. Maybe 2.5 to 3 minutes is kind of a sweet spot for replays, and ending it with a moment that makes people want to hear it again is huge. Music psychology is so intriguing, and you can use it to your advantage. You've heard of CTA, which just means call to action. Well, why not create micro call to action culture? Instead of saying like stream my song, you could ask for one specific micro action like, if this hits you, then save it because it helps more than you know. And these tiny asks generate the exact signals that Spotify rewards. Oh yeah, one last thing. Instead of one giant promo blast on release day, you should do maybe 10 to 14 days of small daily nudges where each post focuses on just one microsignal. Each post target can have a different listener type, like curious, emotional, technical, behind the scenes, or whatever it is. And this creates a steady drip of positive signals instead of a single spike that dies. Okay, fact number 2, saves matter way more than streams do, especially in the early days. If this statement is true, then the game shifts from get people to listen to get people to keep you. Saves are a signal of intent and not just consumption. And Spotify's algorithm treats intent like money. So your job becomes engineering moments that make saving your track the natural, obvious, and emotionally satisfying action. So your plan of attack then, design your release strategy around save velocity. Because in the first 48 hours, Spotify is basically asking, do people want this track in their library? And as I said, you want to maximize save rate and not just streams, so ask for saves directly in your release day content. Say things like, if this hits you, then save it so Spotify knows to show it to more people. Pin a saved focus comment on TikTok or IG Reels or YouTube Shorts, or DM your warmer fans with a save first CTA and not a stream first CTA. Use pre-saves, not just for vanity, but to preload save rate on day one. And here are some key concepts that are going to help you. Listeners save when a lyric hits them hard, or a hook surprises them, or a vibe locks in, or a moment feels personal. You can intentionally design a standout line that people want to revisit, a drop or a switch up that creates emotional imprint, or a unique sonic signature that makes this track feel capable to them, right? Check out my recent video all about earworms to learn exactly how to do this, and I'll link it in the description for you. Fact number 3, the first 48 hours quietly set your track's ceiling. Think of the first 48 hours as your track's audition. Spotify's watching one thing. Did this song spark enough early momentum to deserve more algorithmic exposure? If you win in the first 48 hours, Spotify gives you a higher ceiling for Discover Weekly, Release Radar, radio autoplay, home feed placements, and long-term algorithmic trust. So your plan of attack is preload the algorithm before release day. The 48-hour window doesn't start at 0, it starts with whatever momentum you've already built in. So collect pre-saves. They convert into instant day one saves. And then warm up your audience with snippets, behind the scenes, or countdowns. Prime your top listeners, like use an email list or IG close friends or Discord, and pitch to Spotify for artists early, at least 7 to 14 days out. And it works because Spotify sees a wave of instant engagement, like the moment the track goes live. Quality over quantity. 100 intentional listeners will beat 1,000 random ones every time. Also, a session start means somebody opened Spotify because of you. These are weighted far more heavily than passive plays. So ask your fans to search your artist name and play the new track. Put a link in your bio, but emphasize search first behavior. Encourage fans to start their listening session with your track. Session starts tell Spotify that people choose this artist on purpose, and that is algorithmic gold. Now I'm going to shift and cover how Spotify groups you with other artists. Fact number 4, fans also ignores genres. It's all about shared listeners. Spotify builds neighborhoods based on who your fans also stream and not your sound. The overlap here? Well, you get recommended alongside them in radio, algorithmic playlists, and more. And Spotify doesn't care whether you call yourself indie pop or alt R&B or dreamwave or cosmic folk. It cares about who your listeners also listen to. Think of it like Netflix suggesting shows because your friends watch them too. So your plan of attack then, build a map of your listener neighborhoods using Spotify for artists, and then go to audience and then go to listeners also like. Then identify the clusters. What I mean is like the sad bedroom pop group or the cinematic electronic group or lo-fi storytellers, whatever it is. Treat each cluster kind of like a micro market that you can intentionally grow. This becomes your new targeting system. Brilliant, right? But wait, why not collaborate strategically inside your cluster and not by your genre? So if you and another artist share listeners, Spotify sees you as neighbors, and when you collaborate, you reinforce the cluster, which boosts both of you. Fact number 5, song radio starts are a massive hidden boost. Song radio is one of Spotify's most algorithmically pure environments. When somebody starts a song radio, they're actively choosing a listener session, which is like a strong intent signal. Then Spotify sees your track as a contextually relevant recommendation. And if the listener doesn't skip, it becomes a high-trust data point, and it feeds into future radio placements, autoplay, and algorithmic playlists. In short, song radio is like a multiplier. A single good performance in song radio can ripple outward into other surfaces. So your plan of attack then, engineer more song radio starts on purpose. And the truth is most artists never think to drive listeners to song radio, but you can. Try adding a CTA in your bio or link in your bio or captions like, start a song radio for my track. Spotify learns fast from this. Or encourage fans to use song radio when they want a vibe and not just your song. Go in your email list or Discord and say, if you want to help the algorithm understand my sound, start a song radio from the latest track. This is invisible to most artists, so early adopters are going to win. It turns out that most fans love feeling like they're part of the mission. So give them a simple, shareable instruction like, start a song radio from my track and let it run, and it tells Spotify exactly who to show my music to. This is like a non-spammy, algorithm-friendly, high-impact action. Fact number 6 then, algorithmic playlists like Discover Weekly and Release Radar now outperform editorial for most indies. And this means the real growth engine isn't about getting a big editorial placement. It's actually feeding the algorithm the right signals so it pushes your music automatically at scale to the right listeners. And that means that you need to optimize the first 48 hours and think of it like the algorithm's judgment window. I believe that Spotify watches early listener behavior like a hawk. So, your plan of attack? Drive your fans to save the song immediately because saves are more important than likes. Encourage your fans to listen twice because repeat listens are a huge positive signal. And push fans to start a session with your track. In other words, opening Spotify and choosing your song first. Avoid paid traffic because that causes skips and it tanks your early data. Also keep in mind, Release Radar only pushes your music to followers who listened recently. So if you only release music every 3 to 6 months, you might be invisible. Fact number 7, Release Radar only hits active followers, and the rules are strict. Release Radar is one of the highest value algorithmic placements on Spotify because it's personalized, it's weekly, and is sent directly to your followers. But it only reaches active followers, and so your job becomes very simple, which is activate your followers before every release. As I mentioned, Spotify only counts someone as active if they've listened to you recently, so your goal is to wake up dormant followers. Your plan of attack then, post a story or a TikTok saying, if you haven't streamed me in a minute, go spin your favorite track so you don't miss the new one. Or run a pick your favorite song of mine poll. Try to DM your core fans with a link to a song and not an unreleased one, of course, because you're creating a microburst of activity that way that tells Spotify this follower is engaged, and so include them in release radar. And here's a cool idea. Build a release radar squad, which is like your elite group of superfans who agree to stream your new release on Friday, save it, and add it to a playlist and share it. And you don't need hundreds. Only 20 to 50 active fans can really dramatically increase your release radar reach. This brings me to how you can avoid mistakes that quietly derailed me in the past. Fact number 8. High skip rates are one of the strongest negative signals. Skips before 30 seconds teach Spotify, don't recommend this. And I have a client that once released a song that he was sure was going to be a smash hit, but the intro was too theatrical, with some spoken word mixed in, and it took too long for the actual song to start, and the track just never gained any traction. I actually used some MidHub feedback to figure out what the problem was, and the feedback was clear. They didn't want to wait through the intro. It's like a bad movie trailer losing the audience forever. So your plan of attack then is front load the identity. Give listeners something recognizable immediately. A tone, a texture, a motif, vocal timbre. Remove dead air intros, no long fades, no 4-bar warm-ups. Unless you're already established, then do what you want, right? But you want to start with the hook's DNA, a melodic fragment or a rhythmic signature or a harmonic color that previews the payoff. And why does this work? Listeners don't skip when they don't understand what they're hearing. Clarity equals confidence equals fewer skips. Fact number 9, intentional session starts beat passive plays. A session start is when somebody opens Spotify and your track is literally the first thing they choose to play. Spotify treats this as a supercharged signal because it proves one thing, which is the listener wasn't fed your song, they wanted your song. And you were the reason that they opened the app to begin with, and that is algorithmic gold. So your plan of attack is add a CTA in your content, like start your next session with this track, or build a morning ritual like morning coffee plus this song equals a perfect combo, or even create a start your session challenge for fans. This works because you're not asking for more plays, you're asking for a specific type of play. Fact number 10, direct searches carry huge weight. When somebody types your artist name or song title into Spotify's search bar and then clicks your profile or track, Spotify treats them as a high-intent signal. It tells the algorithm, people are actively looking for this artist, and this artist has a brand demand. And even this artist is relevant beyond passive algorithmic placement. So your plan of attack, when you post on socials, do you say, go stream my new song? Because the algorithmic version of that is super weak. Instead, you should say like, search my name on Spotify, Kevin Michael Ozias. Or how about this? Type Kevin Michael Ozias River into Spotify. This does 3 things. It trains your audience to search and not click links, and it sends Spotify a high intent signal, and it boosts your ranking for your own keywords. And that's one of the most underused growth levers for your 2026 plan. Fact number 11, your profile is a conversion machine and not just decoration. If Spotify treats your profile as a signal for who you are and who you attract and how confidently it can recommend you, then optimizing it boosts algorithmic trust, fan conversion, playlist acceptance, session starts, saves, follows, and repeat listens. Spotify uses your bio to understand genre, vibe, and audience fit. Listeners use it to decide if you're worth following. So your plan of attack is use 3 to 5 keywords that match your actual sound. So an example would be alt pop or cinematic or lo-fi beats. Add one line that creates an identity then, like music for people who think in color. And then end with a CTA, follow to catch the next drop. This boosts algorithmic clarity and human conversion. And also keep this in mind, your artist pick is the first thing that people click. If you don't choose it, Spotify chooses it for you, and it's rarely going to be the best choice. And not only that, but Spotify algorithm doesn't see your photos, but humans do. Humans decide whether to follow you based on vibes, and Spotify boosts artists who look alive. Check this out. These quiet edges give you the advantage. Fact number 12, Smart Shuffle injects your track into user playlists. Smart Shuffle is basically Spotify's algorithmic cameo. When a listener activates Smart Shuffle on any playlist, even one that doesn't include you, Spotify sprinkles in recommended tracks that fit the playlist vibe. So if your song is well tagged, well clustered, and performing cleanly, it can suddenly appear in thousands of personal playlists that you've never touched. This is one of the most underrated discovery engines on the entire platform. So your plan of attack, Smart Shuffle works by matching your track to the vibe of a playlist and not to the artist. So your job is to make your track easy for Spotify to categorize. Why not use accurate genre tags when pitching in Spotify for artists? I mean, don't get cute, just be precise. And then add mood or vibe or activity tags that match real playlists. So an example would be like chill, focus, late night, confidence boost, and make sure your track's first 10 seconds match the vibe that you're aiming for. Fact number 13, saved song radios keep you in rotation longer. So when a listener saves your song, Spotify treats that like a high intent signal. One of the ripple effects is that your track becomes eligible to appear more often in saved song radios, which are like personalized radio stations built around the songs that users saved. And these radios behave like a hybrid of Discover Weekly plus Artist Radio, but there's a twist, which says that they're anchored to songs the listener already loves. And so the algorithm is more willing to keep you in rotation because you're kind of adjacent to a trusted track. Saved song radios are algorithmic slow burn machines, and they keep your track circulating weeks or months after the release, and they feed you to new listener sessions without needing playlist pitching. They strengthen your clustering with similar artists, and they increase your chances of hearing in Spotify radio autoplay and daily mixes. And don't forget, they generate high-quality streams, which means longer playtime and lower skip rates. And this is one of those kind of quiet Spotify features that early adopters can absolutely exploit. So your plan of attack is saved song radios only trigger if people save your track. So your job is to optimize for saves and not just streams. Tactics might be to add a CTA in your content, like if this song hits you, then save it. It helps more than you know. Or use a TikTok or Instagram caption that explicitly asks people to save. In your Spotify canvas, include a subtle tap the heart if this resonates. And why not, right? Fact 14, regional playlists are easier and faster to crack. Regional playlists are one of Spotify's biggest quiet shortcuts. They have lower competition, faster editorial turnover, more flexible curation, and higher appetite for emerging artists. And this means that you can break into them long before you're big enough for national or global lists. Regional editors often look for a vibe fit more than an artist's size, so if your music aligns with the region's taste profile, you can get traction way faster. Your plan of attack then is identify 3 to 5 regions where your genre is trending and both pitch your song with region-specific context and mention cultural or sonic ties in your pitch, like inspired by UK garage or Latin pop influence or whatever, right? This makes you look intentional and not random. Also, your existing listeners already cluster in certain cities even if you've never even been there. So what you do is, in Spotify for Artists, open up Audience and then go to Cities. And find the top 10 cities where you already have listeners, and then prioritize pitching to playlists in those regions and build micro campaigns around those cities. And one of the most powerful hacks is to run micro-targeted social ads to specific cities. From experts that I've learned from, if you can show city-level traction, editors are going to take notice. Fact number 15. Spotify quietly rolls out features all the time, and early adopters win big. When Spotify releases new features, they rarely announce them loudly. They test them quietly. They watch how users behave, and then they reward the behaviors that help them refine that feature. And that means that early adopters often get algorithmic advantages before the masses catch on. Spotify often tests features in waves too, so if you're the type who notices new buttons and new playlist types or new UI behaviors, you can start using them before most artists even know they exist. And when a feature is new, then competition is low. And that means that your content has a way better chance of being surfaced. New features often come with hidden boosts too, so Spotify wants data, and they're going to push early adopters into more feeds and more recs and more discovery surfaces. Your plan of attack then, check Spotify for Artists weekly at least. Test everything new immediately. Follow Spotify beta testers. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Spotify is not unfair, it's just indifferent. It responds to real listener love and not effort or talent alone. In 2026, with the algorithm even pickier about quality engagement, focus here first. Get saves, which was number 2, own the first 48 hours, which was number 3, and stop the skips, which was number 8. If this reframed Spotify for you, then subscribe, like, and comment and let me know where you plan to focus in 2026, because that way we can grow and win together. I'm Kevin from Innovaniac Music. We help indie artists produce great music and get published to build a growing audience. Until the next video, dream big and create bold.